Brothers workers have spread. The jury is still out on how much monopsony might be holding wages back, but with unions declining and huge corporations gaining market share, there are reasons to worry. KYC by Heather Smith. Know your customer is more than an old sales adage. For banks around the world, KYC refers to a broad set of requirements designed to vet clients and fight ever more sophisticated financial crimes, especially money laundering. KYC has taken on new significance in the debate about Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, with their emphasis on anonymity. Europe is reeling from revelations that some of its biggest banks, including Deutsche Bank, ING, and Danske Bank, channeled billions in illegal funds in violation of anti-money laundering, or AML, rules. The idea is that banks bear a special burden to know who exactly they're serving and where a client's money comes from. Much of the world's Know Your Customer architecture grew out of the U.S. Patriot Act, enacted following the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. Although practices differ by country, banks generally must obtain some form of government identification from customers seeking to open accounts, as well as documentation showing where their money came from. Banks often complain that the rules are onerous and compliance costly. They must continuously track customer transactions to look for red flags, such as a significant cash withdrawal, typically more than $10,000, or a transfer to an overseas arms dealer. If the bank has a good reason to suspect something devious, it must alert the authorities. Failure to do so can bring stiff fines.
Central Bank Independence by Christopher Condon. After inflation ran amok in the 1960s and 1970s, many central bankers fought for and won more freedom to control interest rates and set other monetary policies without political interference. Their shields began to crack after the 2008 financial crisis. In the years since, the bankers deployed trillions of dollars to save the global financial system. The public's faith in their work has been fading. Critics say independent central banks are too secretive and put commercial banks' interests before taxpayers, so it's time for more public control. Central bank officials counter that they need to be free from political pressures to do their job of containing inflation, promoting full employment, and maintaining financial stability. But the "trust us" mantra is increasingly a tough sell. The situation. Central banks everywhere are struggling to stay above politics. In July, U.S. President Donald Trump began to criticize the Federal Reserve's interest rate increases, breaking with more than 2 decades of White House tradition of avoiding comments on monetary policy. U.S. lawmakers have regularly proposed legislation that would subject Fed policy to much tighter review and reduce the Fed's regulatory and emergency lending authority, though so far without success. In Turkey, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who holds the unorthodox belief that high interest rates cause rather than curb inflation, has repeatedly pressured the central bank to restrain borrowing costs. After winning re-election in June 2018, Erdogan claimed the power to appoint the bank's rate setters and put his son-in-law in charge of economic policy. The meddling sent Turkey's currency tumbling. Central banks in Russia, Nigeria, South Africa, and Thailand have also been pressured by politicians in recent years. The background. The modern notion of central bank independence evolved over time. Following the Great Depression, the U.S. Congress gave the Fed more power to set monetary policy. Still, it wasn't free from political arm-twisting. Both Presidents Lyndon Johnson and Richard Nixon pressured Fed chairs to keep interest rates low. In the 1970s, Congress clarified the Fed's goals: to strive for maximum employment, stable prices, and moderate long-term interest rates. Fed Chair Paul Volcker's drastic efforts to curb high inflation helped cause the recession of 1981 to 1982 and attracted fierce criticism, but soon brought prices under control and set the scene for steady economic growth. As a result, the case for central bank independence gained ground elsewhere. The Bank of England